Hour, complete with clips from Franklin Roosevelt. I laid out for you why we should be raising taxes on billionaires, not back up to the level of where they were during, say, Eisenhower's administration, Dwight Eisenhower, the Republican president who defended a 91% top personal income tax rate and a 48% top corporate tax rate. Or even Richard Nixon, who defended those tax rates, or actually it was 74% then. Lyndon Johnson lowered it to 74%, the personal income tax rate. Or even, to where it was when Reagan came into office, but at least, let's extract a little bit of cash from the people at the very, very top who don't take income. They borrow money against their assets. They live off that borrowed money. They pay it back with 1% interest. So they pay an effective tax of 1%, and they pay it to the banks that they own rather than to the government. So how do we get around this? Well, Joe Biden's got a way to get around this. Though, that the Republicans are going to have arguments on the other side. So let's preview those. Charles Sauer is on the line with us, libertarian economist and president of the Market Institute, the author of the book Profit Motive, What Drives the Things We Do. MarketInstitute.org is Charles's organization's website, and you can tweet him at Charles Sauer, S-A-U-E-R, Charles Sauer, on Twitter. Charles, welcome back to the program. So, Joe Biden is saying you got, like Jeff Bezos last year, right? He's the richest man in America, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if not one of the most richest men in America. And but his total income last year was $81,000. So he probably paid, less income tax than, your average doctor or lawyer in America, and yet he's the richest man in the country. Why is there not something wrong with that?
Well, because we want to keep his money in the economy. So he is paying capital gains taxes on other money that he's taking. His income is nominal.
He's not. He's living on borrowed money.
I haven't seen that anyplace. So I heard you say that in the intro. Every once in a while, I get caught off guard by something. I haven't heard of people doing that. It is an interesting.
I refer you to the Financial Times. There's a great article in the Financial Times about it that went up yesterday about how the vast majority of these billionaires take no income whatsoever. They only take capital gains when they have to. They are doing what average people can do with a 401k or an IRA, which is you set aside money and then it's never taxed until you ultimately take it out. But they're doing that with all of their wealth. They borrow. So, you got somebody who's worth $100 billion. He needs $30 million this year to live on. So he borrows $30 million at 1% interest from a bank that he owns a piece of and lives off that $30 million, pays it back at the end of the year, by rolling over some stock, pays that 1% interest on it. And actually, he doesn't even have to pay it back by rolling over the stock, just rolls over the debt. He can continue rolling over the debt until the day he dies. And so he can buy more yachts, he can buy more mansions. All of these guys are doing this, Charles. This is the way that super rich people avoid paying any taxes at all.
Well, let's just assume it's all true. And let's take Zuckerberg in this case. Most of that wealth is going to be in the business that they own. In Bezos, right. Amazon, in Zuckerberg's case, Facebook. Facebook went up large margins and just crashed down 26%. We didn't want, or the company didn't want, and if you like Facebook, nobody wanted Zuckerberg to take that money out of the company because it would have changed the company. If you look at the money that Bezos has in a bank, that bank is out loaning that to other companies and other businesses to build on. And that money is going to hire people to do the building. It's hiring people in the businesses that are being built, and it is going through the economy as a multiplier. So if we want them to take all of their money out and sit on it like a chicken sits on their egg, then this is a good plan. On the other hand,
wait a minute, Charles. Their money is in stock.
The market, if they don't want to do it.
If Jeff Bezos' money is in Amazon stock, I'm sure he's diversified beyond that. But let's just talk about his money in Amazon stock. If he were to sell all of that tomorrow, it would simply mean that you and I could buy that stock. It wouldn't take a penny out of Amazon. Amazon, it wouldn't scratch Amazon in the least.
We've seen what happens when owners of companies sell shares, because it changes their interest in the company. It changes how much they care about the company, and it changes the public perception of how much they care about that company. So it does make a difference, and we've seen stocks
I don't recall Steve Jobs
Musk,
selling his Apple stock before he died didn't crash Apple.
In part to do that, he communicated his plan. He set it out over a long period of time, and I don't believe he did it in one chunk. If you look at Elon Musk, he sold a large chunk, and it hurt their stock. It does things in the economy when these large owners remove their stock. So
okay, so why should we care about that, Charles? When this is hurting democracy, these guys are using this great wealth to distort our democracy. They're using it to buy politicians.
If they're using it to buy politicians, that's not the same argument that you're making, because to do that, they actually have to transact money.
I'm going back to Louis Brandeis in 1944. Louis Brandeis said, we have to choose. We can have democracy, or we can have great wealth concentrated in a few hands. You can't have both. And I present to you, Charles, as an example of that, Russia. Is that how you want to stand up an oligarchy?
No. Russia's oligarchs aren't an Elon Musk. They aren't the guys that are creating the new revolutionary companies in their garage. These are guys that have been handed their businesses by Putin. We look at why do we have the country we have today? It's because in the Constitution, the founders actually put patents. They're the only right actually in the Constitution, and that's what allows these people to create these companies. That's a difference from what was happening when the king was giving out writs of ownership to the oligarchs of the time, to his cronies, to his friends. We set up an industry where we allow innovative people to be innovative, and we give them the right to that. That's why we're a different country. It's why we're better. It's why we have an economy that has been booming. And if we want to take that away, if you want to say, no, look, you can't get rich in this country, then rich people are going to go sit on their wealth like a chicken sits on an egg, or they're going to go to another country where they can, because that's what they did in previous
Charles,
generations.
let me just play for you Franklin Roosevelt. It's a 20-second clip, just a brief comment. I'd like to get your response to this. This is the guy who raised the top income tax rate in the United States from 25% to 91%, and the top corporate tax rate from 20% to 48%.
Taxes, after all, are the dues that we pay for the privilege of membership in an organized society. And as society becomes more civilized, government, national and state and local, is called on to assume more obligations to its citizens. The privileges of membership in a civilized society have vastly increased in modern times. But I am afraid we have many who still do not recognize their advantages and want to avoid paying their dues.
Your response, sir?
Well, let's just split this in half and start with the corporate tax rate. Biden's proposing raising the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%. Larry Kotlikoff, one of the best economists on the left, says that almost 100% of that tax increase is going to go on to labor. So if you accept what was said by the president, then,
wait a minute. I'm not buying that. If I own a business. If I knew that if I showed a profit, that profit would be taxed, and I do know that. Instead, at the end of every year, if there's money left over, we reinvest it in the business. We bought a bunch of new computers at the end of last year. We invested in our company. I mean, that's what businesses do.
Do you think that businesses are greedy, or do you not? I believe I've heard you talk about greedy corporations
I'm all in favor of profit
when I've been on here. But the fact is that a greedy corporation is doing everything that they can to keep the profit. And that's the point of this.
And expand their business and grow their business. I mean, back before, when we had a high income tax rate, American businesses were growing like gangbusters. Now, mostly, they're just knocking out small competitors, eating them up. I mean, how much competition does Facebook have right now? How much competition does Google have? How much competition does Merck have? These companies.
I'm glad you started with Facebook, right? Facebook is the poster child for this. It fell 26% overnight because of TikTok, a Chinese company where they don't have the same sort of free economy that we have, taking away the businesses.
Facebook stock fell because the federal government changed the rules of the game.
Yeah, they're trying. It's the federal government coming in to make it even harder to be a Facebook. And there's more proposals out there to make it even harder. There are competitors to these companies. There's competitors to IBM. There's competitors to Walmart. Look, Amazon came up. MySpace fell out overnight. If we don't think that there's innovators in this country, then we should just all shut business and go hang out at our homes. There's innovators are going to take on everything that you're afraid of.
All right, I'll leave you with the last word. Charles Sauer, the Libertarian economist and president of the Market Institute, marketinstitute.org. You can tweet him at Charles Sauer, S-A-U-E-R. Charles, thanks for dropping by. It's always great talking with you.
Thanks for having me on.